This has been Strictly Ball Business.
Strictly ball business.
Strictly ball business.
I like that video.
Shit.
Hey yo, welcome to Strictly Ball Business. It's Alec and Dalton. We're talking the NBA, baby. And we're like 2 months away from real games. We're almost there. So we are excited to tell you what to be excited about. That's basically what this shit's going to be about that we're talking. First off, we're going to do some revisionist, though. We're going to talk about why the Knicks are happy they got rid of Kristaps Porzingis originally. We're going to talk about why they won that trade, Kristaps Porzingis to Dallas Mavericks. Or maybe we'll talk the other way. We'll see. Stay tuned for that. We're also going to give a preview of the Bucks this upcoming season. Obviously, they have Chris Middleton coming back from injury and some other new players that should bring some excitement. Other topics that we got going on today, we're going to talk about Wendell Carter as a potential superstar in the future. That's right, Wendell Carter Jr. is going to be that guy. We've seen what he's done with the Orlando Magic, and we think he can become their next Nikola Vucevic. We're also going to talk about if Bradley Beal re-signing with the Washington Wizards hurts them long-term, and if it hurts them short-term. So it was a 5-year contract, right, Dalton?
Yeah, it's not on the salary cap yet. Actually, is it?
Oh.
Let me see.
Yeah, maybe it's an extra, maybe it's 6 years total on his contract now, or 7 maybe.
Extra 4.
Extra 4. Okay, so it's 6 total, I think.
Yeah.
So we're gonna dive into why signing Bradley Beal for 6 years is not a great idea, and why he's irresponsible for staying there. And then remind me of our last topic, man.
We got what's left of the Jazz. If Donovan Mitchell leaves,
that's right.
What remains do we have of this Jazz team now that their 2 stars will be gone, and what will happen to the rest?
Yeah, and then we might talk about LeBron extending with the Lakers as well on a short note. He obviously signed a 1+1 year deal. We think that might be specifically for some reason, so we'll talk a little bit about that. But to start out, we're Strictly Ball Business. This is episode 51. We just had our 50th episode last week. If you listened to that, it was not that great because of our vocal quality. So we apologize for that, and we appreciate you for sticking around nonetheless. But this week, we're talking about the New York Knicks. They traded away Kristaps Porzingis years ago to the Dallas Mavericks, and they got not a ton back, it seemed like at the time. But in your mind, why do you think they won that trade, Dalton?
The Knicks?
Yeah.
I actually think that. They won that trade. No, I do. I actually think the Mavs won that trade, for a couple of reasons. Because I can go through. I broke it all down for who's where now.
Broke it
all down. So obviously, the trade was Dennis Smith Jr., DeAndre Jordan, Wesley Matthews, and 2 future round first picks. Then the Mavericks is they got Kristaps, Tim Hardaway, Trey Burke, and Courtney Lee. So if we want to look at it, one of the first round picks that the Knicks received they have not used yet. Okay, so DSJ, he was probably the biggest part of this Knicks trade. They're we're getting this young talent. I mean, he had a great rookie year. His best year in the NBA was his rookie year, actually. Just to get DSJ, the Knicks played him for 1 year and then just traded him for a second round pick, and they just got Derrick Rose. Granted, great player, but they haven't really done anything with him. And now DSJ's not even in the league. It's not even signed.
Yeah. Oh, I know. Yeah, Dennis Smith Jr. was a huge bust. A lot of people thought he was going to be a great player, and he just did not amount to anything. Was he afraid of the big stage? I don't know. He was inefficient as hell. He turned over the ball a lot too. So, makes sense that he's out of the league.
Exactly. And so they didn't win that there. The other 2 big pieces of that is DeAndre Jordan and Wesley Matthews. Both of them left for nothing in free agency. I mean, Matthews went to the Bucks. DeAndre Jordan went to the Brooklyn Nets. So. So they've only used 1 pick, and it got traded around, which is essentially what it ended up being was Quentin Grimes. So they got Derrick Rose and Quentin Grimes, where if you look at the Mavs side of it, so Porzingis they got, But then they just flipped him for Dinwiddie and Bertans, who
Yep.
have played great for them. Honestly,
True.
Dinwiddie would probably be up in the running for Sixth Man of the Year if he was with the Mavs the whole year.
Yeah,
and
maybe.
Bertans he didn't validate his contract, but he's showing why you're like, okay, now I'm starting to see it again, why he got this contract.
Yeah. No,
And,
it was a huge win for the Dallas Mavericks for all that matter, and they were able to get something out of Porzingis in the end themselves. The Knicks, obviously, they should have just gotten a better package, one that included more picks maybe, but I guess it wasn't out there. I remember when that trade happened, it was a shocker. Kind of felt like it came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
I mean, he was only with the team for like 3 or 4 years at the time, but it sounded like they got sick of his diva attitude. So I think it was a win just to get him out of the clubhouse. But unfortunately, the Knicks haven't drafted well for years. They just seem to always screw up. So it's not surprising that the draft picks they've gotten out of it haven't turned into anything. So, maybe next time they trade a guy like that, they just need to bring someone in. It's why they're probably going so hard after Donovan Mitchell right now.
Yeah.
They traded, they signed Jalen Brunson in free agency. They realizing like, okay, we're the New York Knicks. Like, we do have some pedigree, but like, we can't just keep drafting guys and like screwing that up, because it's a never ending cycle of staying in the lottery and being in like the late picks of the lottery and not doing anything with it. Because they're never like bad enough to get a top 2 pick.
No, yeah, and
obviously the highest pick they got, he's a good player, but they've only had like one, top 5 pick in recent memory.
yeah, RJ 3rd pick. I mean, Grant, but there's a lot of players that draft that also a lot of people like more than RJ. But that's another video, another time. But also, if you want to dig more into this Mavs trade, Tim Hardaway Jr. is a huge piece for this team when he's healthy and on the floor. He's a huge piece of that offense, and why Luka Doncic does as well as he does. Trey Burke got traded to the 76ers for nothing, basically, and then signed back with the Mavs. So he's still with this team, I guess.
Yeah.
He's just their 3rd string point guard, though. No, actually, he signed last season, but then he just signed with the Rockets this offseason, and now he's a 3rd string point guard on the worst team in the NBA.
Yeah, he's just bottom of the bench there. I mean, he's still in the NBA. He was able to
more than Dennis Smith Jr.
He was able to get some more years out of like what he did in Dallas.
Exactly, and Courtney Lee, as we know, retired. So like, I think the Mavs overall won. They have 3 giant pieces for their team, whereas the Knicks have Quentin Grimes and Derrick Rose. Which Derrick Rose is worth like 1 good huge piece of your team, but he doesn't make up for having Tim Hardaway Jr., Bertans, and Dinwiddie.
I mean, bringing in Tim Hardaway Jr., I think kind of makes it a win already, just because he's been such an integral player for them for years now.
Yeah.
And,
no, exactly.
They know how to draft well, so. Like, I don't think like they doubt themselves in being able to replace a guy like Kristaps Porzingis, and like being able to replace the guys they traded away in that original trade as well. So, yeah,
certainly interesting there. I mean, it's funny just looking back at these. Like, I want to do a few of these, especially there's a Magic one. I want to see what happened with Serge, but like, you really see how like. It puts in perspective how you're like, oh, the Wizards are the one who lost. Quite honestly, for what they get is like the Wizards.
Well, the Wizards are always making bad moves. It's not surprising that they would make another bad one. And like, I don't know why a team would be interested in trading for Kristaps Porzingis after seeing how he's played in Dallas.
Yeah, I mean, Dallas, when he was on the floor, I remember those playoff runs with Luka, it was fine. But that's like, so not fine. Like, it looked great when he was in there with him playing fully healthy, but he was never fully healthy, and that's the main issue with him.
Yeah, and
I'd love to see him on the floor, but
he also has documented problems with Luka Doncic. Like, they don't like each other. And if he's having locker room problems with Luka Doncic because Kristaps thinks that he should be getting the ball just as much as him, then like, I'm sorry, you don't belong on an NBA floor at all if you're that obtuse. You're that fucking delusional. Just like, go back to Europe, dude. Like, if like, go be a star over there. You think you're like the hottest shit? You're not. Like, no, exactly. Luka Doncic is a top 5 player in the NBA already. You know, arguably, or top 7, top 8, guaranteed.
Solid argument for top 5.
Solid argument. Like, a lot of people would have him in their top 5. The only people who don't probably just think he's too young. But he just fucking carried his team to the Western Conference Finals. And what has Kristaps Porzingis done? I mean, he's only gotten worse. He really had a lot of promise in his first couple of years. Then he got injured. But defensively, like, he looked awesome when he first came into the league.
Yeah, he's got that Benjamin Button career.
Where that is now. Yeah, he's like the Benjamin Button. Yeah, I don't understand it. Like, he just doesn't seem motivated when he's out there. Yet he's like, oh, I need to be getting the ball all the time. Well, make it make sense, bro.
Yeah. I mean, like, at this point, he's fallen into what Dwight Howard struggled for years, just a lot earlier in his career than Dwight did. Dwight knew it didn't. At a certain point, he just had to fit a role, but he thought he was much better than their role, and he wasn't. And that Dwight Howard had to deal with it. Now Kristaps Porzingis has to deal with it.
Yeah, Kristaps is like a LaCroix version of Dwight Howard's Minute Maid lemonade. Like, Dwight Howard was a superstar in his prime, and he had like a solid run of that, and then he fell off, but he was still a really great player for a little bit.
Still won a championship as a starting player.
Right, and he did that as, you know, in his twilight of his career, kind of. Like, he definitely had fallen off a lot at that point, but still a solid player, because he figured out, like, you know, all right, I need to humble myself, and he did. He humbled himself, and I think a lot of people like Dwight Howard now, and they used to clown on it.
Yeah. Oh no, yeah. He's a likable guy. He's a good vet, is what he never was, but now he is. When I see him on a team, I'm like, okay, cool. He's a good vet.
He redeemed himself.
Yeah, he did. So once he does that, he'll be fine. But great trade. It's funny looking back at it. Yeah, how you remember how everyone was upset, and now, like, because it swayed from, oh, the Knicks definitely lost, to, oh, maybe the Knicks didn't lose because Kristaps sucks, to then after what they got back for Kristaps, you're like, oh, okay, the Knicks still lost.
Yeah, I mean, it, like, matters what you do with the picks, and, like, everybody always says, like, when a trade happens, you got a ton of picks, and you're like, oh, they won this trade because they got so many draft picks. Like, yeah, if you don't do shit with them, they're worthless.
Yeah, so we'll
another bust.
Exactly, which will dictate the future of OKC, because that's all their value got back from that. So
but they have been drafting well.
Yeah,
so
Giddey, and now they have Chet. So I guess they'll be unstoppable if they hit on those two.
I got more faith in them than I do the New York Knicks. I mean, that front office in Oklahoma City seems to know what they're doing. I mean, they still have Sam Presti running things, don't they? Or did he leave?
Yeah, Sam Presti's still there.
Yeah, so that's a huge difference. I mean, the Sam Presti versus New York Knicks, like, the you know what the problem with the New York Knicks? Before we move on, last thing I want to say, they're the most valuable sports franchise, like, in the world. Or like in America, at least, maybe the world.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, the world.
And so, like, I mean, they don't think, like, they realistically, you know, need to change their habits. They just keep doing the same shit over and over and over again. They're like, eventually it's gonna work.
Yeah, and it's not fair to the Knicks fans. Like, I feel I kind of hate them anyway, but, like, I would hate to be a Knicks fan, because, like, I feel like James Dolan's just like, he's like, we're a Knicks, you're a Knick fan, and that's good enough, rather than like what he does. Like, I don't know, but
I think the NBA is better when the Knicks are good.
Oh well, yeah, it's true. Well, I don't know. I really like the
They're
NBA
in the playoffs. Their fans are going crazy and shit. I mean, that's fun. You need, like, that annoying heel. Like,
yeah, that's the 76ers right now.
Yeah, but, like,
it's Philly fans.
I don't know.
Sorry.
Like, on a lesser scale, because, like, the Philly hasn't done shit. Like, Knicks have at least won a championship, like, in their existence. Have the Sixers done that?
No.
Maybe.
Oh yeah, with Julius Erving, I think they have one. I think so.
Yeah, whatever. Sixers fans can clown me. I don't give a shit. I hate every Sixers fan, and they can go continue to eat horse poop like they did when the Eagles won the Super Bowl.
Wow. But
It was a real thing. A man did that. It's on video. It's on the internet forever.
well, clearly the Knicks lost that trade, and they're going to continue to lose on a lot more. What team has been winning is the Milwaukee Bucks. I personally, I haven't sorted it out yet, but they're going to be my favorites in the East this season. Up there, one of the top, definitely top 3 right now. But I got to sort it out for another video, another time.
Yeah, I mean, we'll get our rankings together, but I think, the Milwaukee Bucks are as good a bet as any to win the championship this year, and Giannis Antetokounmpo to get the MVP. I mean, he's like only 27 again this year, so like he's the ageless wonder, man.
Well, man, still in his prime. They're running it back, which like normally when I hear that, when they're like, oh, we're just gonna run it back, I'm like, well, I don't know about that because you lost. But like in this case, like they were down their second best player into the second round, and they took the team that went to the finals to 7 games.
Yeah. Oh yeah, this is still basically the same team that won the championship.
Yeah.
Plus Grayson Allen,
Joe Ingles, and Serge Ibaka.
Yeah, so they did do some ads. I mean, Serge Ibaka is a good player. Joe Ingles, I don't know what he's going to give you at this point, but if he can hit some threes in the playoffs, cool.
Yeah, I think the role Joe Ingles is going to play on this team is a lot better. I think it's gonna suit him for his age. The Jazz expected a lot out of him, and he just wasn't able to do that.
Yeah, they were still expecting him to be like, a 6th, 7th option on the team still.
Oh yeah, for sure. But now, I have full faith in Serge. Serge didn't do that well. He didn't play that much in the playoffs because he just came off a huge injury that he was out like the season prior. I have full faith in him. I can't wait to see him as a backup big. He's a champion. This guy can do it again. Just on a team full of champions. So I think he can definitely do it. But
Serge Ibaka is a great player. I think his game has certainly aged well. He's just, had to deal with that injury. So looking forward to him playing again. He's been one of my favorite players throughout his career. His cooking show, hilarious. Tennis with Kawhi.
Oh yeah, that was weird. What's it called? Chef Masuzi? I forget what it's called. But here's a question. So like, if the Bucks were fully healthy this year, could they have beaten the Warriors? No doubt. I think they would have went to the finals.
Yeah, I mean, I certainly think they could have given the Warriors a good shot. Wouldn't have been surprised to see them win it. I mean, I think their roster is better than what the Warriors have.
I think it's really hard to gauge this because, like, how often do people get heated about Giannis versus Curry? Because they always pick each other in the All-Star teams, so they're always together. They're really cool, except for that one year where Giannis dunked over him. But like, since it's not a rivalry, I feel like there's such passive games. Like, they're good games, but like, so like thinking about it, you're like, I don't know, because they're such polar opposite. One's small ball, one's big.
I think teams develop rivalries. If they played in the finals, they would become rivals. Or if they've played in the finals twice, they'd become rivals.
Yeah, okay.
Since they're in different conferences, it's hard for them to become rivals. It's like the Cavaliers and the Warriors became rivals because of the finals. But, it was a lot of LeBron versus the Warriors too. Like, a lot of people are going to look back on LeBron's career and think like, oh yeah, him having to chop through the dynasty of the Warriors was a hard thing for him. But I think like you're looking at a potential dynasty with the Bucks too, if Giannis stays there long term, because you win another championship, you win maybe one more after that, which I think Giannis winning 2 more championships in his career is I'm gonna say it's a lock. I'm gonna go ahead and say that.
Lock
for Giannis. I think he's going to win 2 more championships in his career. Whether he does it with Milwaukee or not, we'll see. But if he stays with Milwaukee, I think he can do it too. I think regardless, he gets 2 championships throughout it, at least.
Yeah. No, definitely. Okay, so what does it take for Giannis to become a top 10 player? What would he have to do? So
I mean, it's just going to be the longevity. I think like he's going to get there because like he'll get 1 more MVP. And if he could get like 2 more defensive player of the years, like he'd be a top 10 guy.
I said
a bunch of all-stars with that, I'm sure.
Yeah, for him to be a top 10 player for me, because he'd probably, I don't know who he'd kick out. because I'd have to do it again.
I mean, he could kick
Oh,
out
he-
Barrett if he gets good enough.
No, I think he would kick out Wilt for me. That's who I put in. He's gonna, because he's just the modern Wilt basically, and so I mean, if he can do it better, then he is better than Wilt, because Wilt's dominance is why he was drafted. His type of dominance was why he's in a lot of people's top tens, and that's what Giannis is doing, but harder and shooting threes and more. So like, for me, I said it would take. So he has 2 MVPs, 1 ring, 1 Finals MVP, 1 Most Improved, 1 Defensive Player of the Year. I said 1 more MVP, 1 more Defensive Player of the Year, and 3 more rings, and then he'll be in my top 10.
3 more rings.
3 more rings. He needs to finish his career with 4 rings, 3 MVPs, 2 Defensive Player of the Year, and then he'll be a top 10. And that's how
4
he'll
rings.
kick
I
Wilt
think
out.
is a tall ask, but I'd love to see him get there. I love the Milwaukee Bucks. I love Giannis Antetokounmpo. Like, I don't know. I'd love to see that happen. I think regardless, like, he's gonna win more Defensive Player of the Years. I think he's gonna have a long career, and hopefully he doesn't have any injuries that happen that plague any of his seasons. Because I mean, he's just such a fun player to watch.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think he's gonna reach a road soon where he can decide whether he wants rings or to be like a god amongst Wisconsinites. He's gonna, because if he stays, he's definitely not gonna win the most rings if he stays with Milwaukee. But he'll be immortalized, retire as the best Buck of all time, and then that'll be insane. And he'll just probably have like 5 houses in Wisconsin and live a king forever.
Yeah.
Or he can do what LeBron or KD are doing, is just moving teams and doing what he can most to affect winning. And I think that's his best chance of winning rings.
Yeah,
I would like to see him win another one with the Bucks. I'd like to see him retire with the Bucks. Honestly,
I don't think he's motivated to create a super team, which is what the other guys have done to go to other teams. Like,
Right.
that's the only reason to switch teams, unless, like the other day he said, I'd love to maybe play for the Chicago Bulls someday, Michael Jordan's former team. But, in my mind now, that's never going to happen. It's Milwaukee. Like, that's what he says. It's a real quote he said.
No, I know. I read that.
He's interested in maybe like some nice cities or history like that. But, I don't think he gives a shit about forming a super team.
Yeah. I think he said play with. Maybe did he say with the Bulls? No, yeah, he said with the Bulls. I thought he might have said something like play with DeMar and Zach, but no, yeah, that would be great. That's what it would take. But what do you guys think? Any of the questions I asked, could they have won in a game 7 games with the Warriors? What's it going to take for Giannis to be top 10? Comment below.
Yeah.
Let us know.
Yeah, subscribe if you haven't. We work hard, so you get hard.
One team that's been stuck in mediocrity for a long time, and that's the Wizards. And Beal just signed a massive contract for 5 years. I have it in front of me. I just read it wrong. He has a player option for the 26-27 season, and it goes all the way up to there. Signed massive money, basically damned this franchise to mediocrity for another 5 years. Say it, 5-6 years.
Yeah.
What?
Hey, yeah. Yeah, you asked. Sorry.
No, insane. So, what does this mean? Like, explain how this is. He's not helping their franchise, even though people are like, oh, there's a star there. Ticket sales will be good. They're gonna diminish, and they have diminished as we've seen. Like, they're not getting better. Tell me how this is just fucking over this whole franchise.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, the Wizards were consensual in this exchange. They wanted this to happen. They offered the contract. Like, They're idiots. But it completely screws them over because he's absorbing 30-40% of the cap now. And
yeah, cap is about 120,000, and he's going to be taking in 45.
Yeah, so that's a solid third. A little over a third of the payroll is going to Bradley Beal, which we've seen doesn't get you to the playoffs every year, doesn't win you playoff games, doesn't do anything for you other than, gets a couple all-stars. He scores points. Like, in my opinion, he's not worth that contract.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, he's a great player, obviously, but like, God, I mean, would another team be willing to pay him that if like they had like another star next to him?
Knicks.
And have like two guys getting paid that much? Yeah, maybe the
Knicks would pay him more. They give him New
fair.
York.
Yeah, the Knicks or the Kings, maybe.
Yeah, the Kings definitely would. It's desperate small market teams. Knicks, Kings. I think the Hornets should, especially next to LaMelo. They are stuck in mediocrity too. But I mean, listen, taking nothing away
but
from
those
Bradley
teams
Beal.
At least have like other good players. Like,
yeah,
what do the Wizards have outside of Bradley Beal?
Porzingis. Yeah, I mean, let's talk about that. The best they've brought in was like Porzingis, Dinwiddie, Westbrook. Not all these guys. They're not gonna win games. They're just minor additions. They're just pulling in these all-stars or whatever. And granted, yes, Westbrook was an MVP. But I don't think he's ever been a superstar that can affect winning in a team. He's proven that he's not. We just talked about that with what he did with how he ruined Kevin Durant's chances. But it just forces him being there forces them to stay competitive. Like, oh, we have to keep doing this. We can't be bad. Keeps them in limbo where no one wants to be.
Yeah, they keep rotating the point guard position. Like, okay, so they went from John Wall, who they had forever, obviously.
Yep.
Then they went from him to Russell Westbrook to Spencer Dinwiddie, who they gave a contract to, and now they've got Monte Morris. And so it's like
progressively worse.
Yeah, so it's just like, okay, do you guys not see a problem here?
Yeah, and I mean, the Porzingis trade alone just makes no sense because their two brightest young spots, Denny Adviha and Rui Hachimura, are both like forwards, small forwards or power forwards. Both of them are pure power forwards. They just trade for a power forward. It's like,
yeah, and those are young guys you want to give playing time to.
Yeah, like come on. And
like, man. Porzingis has proven that he's not getting better in this league. He's only getting worse. You trade for him on a max contract.
That alone is dumb. But yeah, so he takes up. So he's gonna be taking up that. I have the salary cap probably up right now, but. So also it affects them. They don't get any major picks. Listen, they haven't had a top 5 pick in almost 10 years.
Yeah,
and because not just because of him, obviously. So in 2010, the Wizards drafted first overall John Wall. 2012, third overall was Beal. 2013, third overall was Otto Porter, who's a championship with another team now. Who's a champion with another team. So since 2012. He's just been in mediocrity. How many times? Like, I get they were like a serious force when they had to face IT, but they didn't do it. People will like to talk about it, but they didn't win. Have your excuses. They didn't get there.
They're just afraid to go back to that drawing board. And like, the data is there to prove that they were successful because they got John Wall and Bradley Beal in those drafts, and they had other good veterans around those guys, and they had a decent run in the playoffs. But then those guys got older. John Wall got hurt, and Bradley Beal, yeah, sure, he's still great, but it's time to blow it up again. If you were able to trade him, you could have got something good back. Maybe a Jaylen Brown, maybe a top pick to draft the next Bradley Beal. Like, they're too afraid to blow it up again for whatever reason.
Maybe they don't. I mean, they drafted well. I don't see it. Like, John Wall was a solid player. Beal's obviously a solid player. Otto Porter is a good player. They just wanted him to be more. I forgot who the pick was between Wall and Beal, but they were complete bust. Yeah, that fucked up. I think that was the 5th overall.
There was Evan Turner, I think, was that year, wasn't he? The John Wall year? Or are you talking about the year in between Beal and Wall?
Yeah, in between Beal and Wall. But Evan Turner was high too. But
yeah, Evan Turner was the same year as John Wall.
But I mean, you look at every team. The Mavs drafted Dennis Smith Jr. We just talked about him, and he didn't work out. And the Mavs are doing fine. So you don't need to hit on everyone. You just need to hit and know when to sell and know when to draft and buy. It's all that.
You just gotta know yourself. You gotta check yourself every.
But they get less of a chance because he's gone. Right?
What do you mean, less of a chance for what?
Oh yeah, they get less of a chance to do all this stuff, to draft, to get closer in, just because just stuck in.
Well, and you trade picks, every now and then because you try to bring in some veteran. You think you're, doing something smart there. And you continue to have a first round pick, maybe, which they do, but it's like always 8th or 9th or 10th. And like history shows us there's almost never a good player there. Like there is sometimes like Franz Wagner got picked around that range
8.
and he's looking great. But we've seen that these guys don't know how to draft there.
Yeah.
So like why keep picking there?
Exactly. I mean, it's
either trade the
tough.
pick or like try to trade up. Like if you're gonna compete or just blow it up. I mean, it's time to blow it up.
It is
But
time
they
to
just don't
blow it
get
up. And I think
that time.
they can get a massive haul for Bradley Beal if they choose to trade him. And I think that's the smartest thing. Porzingis, he's got 2 years left on his contract. 2 years. He has a player option in the second year. He's going to take it. So after this year, you got to hold on to Kristaps for one more year. I doubt you'll find anyone to take his $36 million. So just hold on to him, see what happens, trade Brett Beal, get a good package, start the ball rolling. I think it's turned out well for a lot of teams. Magic finally hit the trigger. They're doing it. Rockets are doing it. And so far, like, I'm impressed. I mean, so is Pistons are in the same situation, always stuck in mediocrity. But now they have Sadiq Bey, they have Jaden Hardy, and Cade Cunningham. So I'm happy with theirs, and I'm sure they're happy with their young guys and see how they develop. So one day they got to pull the trigger soon.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's time. I mean, I think the package that you get for Bradley Beal only gets worse each year you go by with him. Mm-hmm. And to be honest, even right now, a team trading for him is gonna have Bradley Beal making $47 million when he's like 38 years old, and like
$57 million in 26.
Like, $57 million, yeah. So, I mean, it's just like, who was interested in that?
That's tough, yeah. I mean, that's kind of they might be like trying to stick it like, oh, who's gonna pay? Who wants to trade for you with this amount of money? Maybe that's their idea of trapping him forever, and they just don't care anymore. But that's the Wizards. What do you guys think? Do you guys really think they can compete anytime soon? Do you think? Let me know what you guys think about this team. Comment below. Subscribe if you haven't already. So, one of the many young guys I love to talk about is Wendell. I think he's one of the most underrated players in the NBA. My guy Carter came over, the Vucevic's replacement. I love him. What do you think of this guy? Is he a future star?
I'd love for that to be the case. I haven't watched enough Orlando games like you have. For those that you don't know, Dalton is our Orlando Magic expert. He's versed himself in the Magicism as he's decided to become a Magic fan years ago. And why don't you tell the good folks why you became a Magic fan?
Well, I moved to Florida and I started. All my friends are like, "You're tall, come play basketball." Hated basketball, but they made me do it. I had fun, and then suddenly, we're in Florida. They're like, "Oh, we're gonna watch basketball games now. Who do you want?" I'm like, "I don't know. Who's close?" And they're like, "The Magic." And I was like, "All right, cool, the Magic." Because my uncle was bandwagon fan back in the day. He had a bunch of Magic stuff, so now I'm a Magic fan. And
because everyone bandwagons to the Magic, as we all know.
Well, they did. No, he was back in the Bulls when Shaq was really good. He stopped being a Bulls fan, which was already a bandwagon fan, to be a Magic fan because they were better for like a year. So that's why he
decided to stick with them for life instead.
Yeah, well, he doesn't watch anymore now. He just watches the Padres. But
okay.
But I remembered that in my brain, and I was like, I'll be a Magic fan, and it has sucked.
Yeah, you signed up for like some dog shit years because you became a Magic fan well after the Dwight Howard years.
Yeah, I had no reason to. Yeah, they've always been bad, which makes me happy when I see bright spots like Wendell Carter improved every single month. His stats got better every single month. This guy finished with 15. By the time he was averaging 20, actually 18 by the end of the year, last month. So 15 points, 10 rebounds, close to 3 assists. This guy's 42, 32, 69 splits. This guy, I think he's looking a lot better. What do you? Is he going to be an all-star? You think he can do it?
I think certainly he can have an all-star type of career because he's got to have some really solid players around him that are going to help him out. Like he's had to pick up the slack just for some guys being hurt the last couple of years, but you got this season, you got Paolo Banchero coming in, and I think he's going to open some things up for Wendell. And you've got Markelle Fultz having a full season. He's a great facilitator. I know he's going to get the ball to Wendell. And I've been really surprised by Wendell's offensive game. He's got a nice hook shot. He can shoot mid-range pretty well. And I'd love to see him take it out to the three more often.
Yeah, I mean, he does. He's doing it now, shooting at a 32% clip, which is actually better. Actually, wait.
I don't hate that.
Which is better than Vucevic this year, which is
Hey.
which is weird. I'll get to that in a bit, but no, he can shoot. It's looking a lot better, and with moving him over to the center position with Paolo and Fultz back at the starting, I'm excited to see the playmaking on this team because he averages about 3 assists, but with Mo Bamba out of the lineup and with Cole Anthony maybe pushed to the bench, I think the playmaking on this team is going to get a lot better. Fultz, Banchero adds so much, and I'm super excited to see them pass the ball. But that's just one good thing he's a part of.
Yeah, the Magic have a lot of players on their team with good potential. They kept Mo Bamba around, which I didn't expect them to.
Oh yeah.
Paolo Banchero, they bring in the number 1 overall pick. Yep. They still have Gary Harris, which was surprising to see also.
Yeah. He's a good vet.
And then there was somebody else who I want to make a comment about.
Suggs,
yes,
Fultz, Cole.
Suggs and Fultz are great. Oh, and Franz Wagner, obviously.
Oh, yeah,
they still have Jonathan Isaac, who they haven't done anything with. But maybe he'll be healthy this year. But we've talked a lot about him. This video is about a hero,
Wendell. But so I have a graphic. I'm gonna throw it up right now. It's you won't see it, but it compares Vucevic's and Wendell's numbers. And granted, Vooch still beats him on a lot of things, but it's just kind of like the Magic won this trade so hard. I'm so happy. Vooch and they got for Vooch, they got Wendell and Franz basically without a Porter who was meh and got out of there. So I'm super happy. And plus they have another pick coming too down the road. But so Franz and Wendell. So Wendell only scores 2 less points than him a game. 1 less rebound. 0.4 assists less. He does get more steals and more blocks than Wendell, but turnovers are the exact same. Wendell has a better field goal, better 3-point, slightly less free throw, about 7%. So, we're getting to the point where maybe this season we can look at it and be like, Wendell's as good, if not better, than Vucevic, and I love Vucevic. But he wasted his career with being the best player as a borderline all-star with the Magic.
Yeah, I think there's still potential Vucevic can have a bounce back year this year. He's obviously had a really poor season last year, but I think maybe he's a little more comfortable around the guys this year. He shoots a little better. So let's not write him totally off. But Wendell Carter, he keeps improving, and he's still crazy young. He's only 24. So I think 25. Yeah, I think he can keep getting better and get better than Vucevic within the next year or two.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Maybe by the time he's 28, no problem.
Yeah, he also has a 60% true shooting at his age on a bad team is insane. That's actually such good numbers, and the volume as it increases, it's crazy. But he's definitely the best player on this team coming into this year. I don't want to. There's players that will be better.
Markelle Fultz is really good too, but we'll see.
Well, yeah, but Markel's not as good.
Proven more.
Yeah. Well, I'm saying going into the season, Wendell's by far the best player from what we've seen. Because Fultz, I know he's better, but he hasn't gotten there yet. Banchero, I think, will get better. Franz, I'm not sure. I think he'll be as good, which is great. That's a borderline all-star. I think Isaac still holds the potential to be better. I just don't think he'll ever get the chance because he's always injured. But again,
everybody knows he has all-star potential too, but he just never shows us that.
I want to jump into the stat I found because I liked it. I thought it was really good. There's a stat. It's total points added by overall shooting performance. So what it is, it's extra points from shot attempts made above league average. So shot selection. So negative is bad shot selection, negative impact on offense. They're not doing well at all. Obviously, positive is good. Affected the team's success. And so his number, he was a plus 53 points last season. Steph Curry this year hung around 96. So, like, that's really good, actually. And he was on a bad team because this is as affected as same as offensive rating and defensive rating. So this guy, the advanced numbers, love this guy. He's an awesome guy. I'm excited to see what he can do this season. Will
he make an All-Star this year? I don't think so, but I think he can make it in like 3 years, maybe 2 years.
So, like, what team goes back? I think he has a chance.
I mean, I think he's just got
Not
like
this year.
Joel Embiid's still great. Yeah, who else is in the East?
Giannis.
Yeah,
because he's a center
big
forward.
man.
He's a center forward because he can be drafted with both. I'm sure they'll still have lineups where he plays power forward. So he'll be a center forward. So he can be. So, like, yeah, they got Joel. I think because Bam is
Mobley, Jared Allen.
Well, yeah, Jared Allen kind of stole that All-Star spot for now from Mobley. I don't think the Cavs will ever justify Garland, Mobley, and Allen.
Yeah, Mobley and Allen won't both make it in a year, but
I think he'll be better than
Mobley's gonna make it this year either.
Yeah, I think he'll be better than Jared Allen. I think he'll be better than Jared Allen next year.
Whoa,
I do think
that's a hot take.
I will say Mobley.
You think Mobley will be better than Jared Allen next year?
Yes, I think Mobley will be. No, I think he'll be just as good as Jared Allen, but Mobley will be better than both Wendell and Jared Allen. Okay.
Yeah, that's a hot take. I don't know, man. We'll see. I mean, I think he could get there this year. I suppose he'll probably average like 18 and 10, 18 and 12 maybe. So
I think I'm gonna predict with Mo Bamba out of the starting lineup and Fultz back, I'm predicting you heard it here. Wendell Carter is gonna average 19 and 12. It's gonna be good. With 4 assists.
4 assists.
Yeah, he only has like a 20% usage rating, which is pretty intense. But that was Wendell. Do you guys think he's going to be a young star? Do you think he's going to be just a perennial all-star? Let us know. Comment below. Subscribe if you haven't.
Yeah, is he just a one-time all-star or a perennial all-star? Those are your only choices, guys.
Yeah, that's it. Just comment below. Let us know. So, everybody's been talking about Donovan Mitchell, where he's going to go. This isn't a video about if he's going to go. We're assuming he's gone. We don't know what the package is left, but what's left of this team? Let's look at like the remains. Are there any young promise? Like, what are we gonna do with the vets? Let's start off. What do you think's happened with the main vets right now, Bojan and Conley?
Well, I think you would have to try and get rid of both those guys. I think Mike Conley is going to be a hard one to move, but certainly there's going to be suitors for Bogdanovic. He's still a solid shooter at his size, and like, other teams are going to look for that. Mike Conley, he just looks like he's hit a wall at times. Like, he looked good for part of last year. He looked pretty solid the year before that. But down the stretch last year and in the playoffs, he was complete dog shit.
Yep, he's just not the same player anymore, and it's tough to see because we love Mike Conley. But I don't think he's a harder sell unless it's like they'd have to give something up to trade away Mike Conley. That's $24 million, and it goes into next year too, and that's guaranteed. So I don't think I think he'll
not worth really trading away. Just let him ride it out.
Either he'll ride it out or end in a buyout, but only if he still has a good year this year, and then they'll maybe buy him out.
Bojan, they don't want to give up picks to trade him. It's not that.
And Bojan's an expiring. I think they're gonna try to trade him, get something back. 19 mil, easily tradable. So like last year of his contract, I think he's gonna be gone. I think they're hoping to get a first round pick for him. But we'll see.
I think if he looks good to start out the year, they could get a first round, no problem.
Yeah. So those are the main two. Then let's look at the two huge bench pieces, Clarkson and Beasley. So Clarkson, we've said at a time, one of the best 6 men in the league. Great. Beasley, we have said, had the potential to be one of the best 6 men in the league too. Super inconsistent. He's a really nice shooter to have on your team. let's talk about those two. What are they gonna do on this team? Are they gonna stay?
I think you trade Jordan Clarkson and you keep Malik Beasley. Beasley's younger. I think he can give you just as much, honestly. But Jordan Clarkson is a solid player, and other teams will trade for him. So I think you'll have no problem getting at least one pick for him.
Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah, and he deserves to go on a competing team. I mean, I don't want to see him. What happened to Terrence Ross happened to him. Everyone got traded away. Terrence Ross is still with the Magic, and he was a great sixth man in the league. A lot of people loved it, herald him, but now he's still with the team. He's just kind of wasting his career away with the Magic when he still could be effective on another team and possibly win a championship. So I'd like to see Clarkson move on, and they can.
Yeah, he's not the type of guy that wants to be stuck in irrelevancy. And if Donovan Mitchell ultimately gets traded away, then I don't think he wants to be on that team at that point.
No, he wouldn't.
But Malik Beasley, he hasn't put in the time in the league to be considered a veteran, so he doesn't have that same say in wanting to go to a different team.
And I think Beasley would want to stay because all these guys gone, clears up shots, and this guy can yeet whatever he wants, which is why he loved the Timberwolves right away because everyone was injured when he first when he got traded. So like he played heavy minutes.
Oh, yeah.
This guy was averaging like a ton of points on terrible efficiency. But
he could average over he had good efficiency for the 20-game stretch. That's why he got paid.
Yeah, for the 20-game stretch. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
And then afterwards, he showed that he's inconsistent. But yeah.
But I mean, I could see him averaging over 20 again. He certainly can get the minutes and he'll just chuck shots. But yeah, he has to get more efficient. But I think certainly like he's got good potential with this team. He's young enough, and they got some other guys in that Rudy Gobert trade as well. Like Walker Kessler is a promising center who rebounded and blocked a lot of shots in college.
Yeah.
Another guy is Jared Vanderbilt, who is one of the hardest working players in the league.
Yep. Love to have him as a piece.
Yeah, he's going to increase their offensive rebounds like automatically. Just that alone is such a skill.
Yeah. No, yeah, he's great too. And Leandro Bolmero also came over in that trade. Him and Walker Kessler. Yeah, I mean, I don't have the biggest faith in Bolmero. I think he could maybe carve out a spot for him in this league because in the G League he averaged almost 14 points, 5 rebounds, 6 assists. So I think he's versatile enough where he can find it. It's just whether he can find it or not.
Yeah, he's a great fast break player and he's a decent defender. He can get steals, but we haven't really seen it at the NBA level. Obviously, he just didn't have many opportunities with the Wolves last year. There were better players in front of him. So maybe with the Utah Jazz, he'll get some opportunities. Yeah,
for sure. And Walker Kessler, I mean, we'll see if they can strike lightning twice with what happened with Gobert. I don't know. I need to see a more sample size from him. But one guy we have seen that's on their probably, I'd say their headline young talent right now. We've seen him play in this league a few times is Nickel Alexander-Walker. He has a team option next year. Showed some scoring flashes with the Pels. I like him. I do like him. He has kind of all-around skill. He's just a super inefficient player. Hard to see him find roles like that when they start off and they can score. Last guy I can think of is Devonte Graham, who was super inefficient, scored 20 points a game, and now he's a backup point guard for the Pels. But he helps them. He's contributing, but that's like the most I've seen for a guy who
I know
scores
that
a lot inefficiently.
You had a lot of confidence in last year, and he just really flopped.
Mm-hmm.
I think maybe you put a curse on him. That was what I was thinking.
Maybe. Oh shit, who did I say was gonna do really good next year? Wendell? I'm sorry, man.
Wendell is screwed.
Fuck.
Yeah, we'll see. I think the Utah Jazz certainly have some solid players on their team, but I don't really see any of these young guys having star potential.
No, that's oh my god. I'm sorry. I smoked before and I just yawn a lot. Don't do drugs, kids. I smoked a cigarette. No, he yeah, not much young talent. That's really what they're looking for. And I mean, on my last point for this is so they're looking for that young talent. They really need someone, that guiding force to show the direction. This is where our rebuilding is going. It should have been Donovan Mitchell. He's going to be traded. Doesn't want to be there. But Is it RJ Barrett? I don't like that. I'm not looking at this team and be like, that's a nice young team if RJ Barrett is leading the way, because I think he can be a great player. I don't think he's the lead. He can lead a team as a superstar.
I think he'd be a great player to trade for, but they would need to get another top pick. Like I wouldn't trade for a guy like RJ Barrett till after this year.
Right.
Till like you already, because like I wouldn't want him fucking up my draft odds.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, like I think Donovan Mitchell will make them win more than RJ Barrett.
Yeah, that's true. They need to trade Mitchell regardless, I guess.
However,
so like if they're trying to tank.
Right. I mean, but who else out there can you is there you think would be available that they would rather have than RJ Barrett for?
I think they just want a shitload of picks, you know. They just want,
honestly that wouldn't be
more
bad.
picks than they got in the Rudy Gobert trade.
Adds more flexibility if they don't want to build their team around RJ Barrett, which is essentially what this trade would be if he went to the Knicks. That I wouldn't want to build around RJ Barrett. I just don't
get a bunch of lottery tickets and tank yourselves so that you can guarantee a top pick that way, and you got a bunch of other draft picks. Just go the OKC route.
They've shown they're decent at drafting. Grayson Allen's a solid player. Donovan obviously was a steal in the draft. Rudy was a steal in the draft. They've showed they could do it. So we'll see if they can still turn it around. And I have faith in Danny Ainge. Danny Ainge has helped the Celtics to being great, always in the playoffs, it seems. So
he's doing the same formula here in Utah that he did with Boston with their rebuild that just got them to a championship.
Oh, well, finals, not championship, but yeah.
Finals, whatever. You want to do the correct verbiage. Anyways, what he did with the Celtics, he traded away, his big players, obviously, just like he is now doing with Utah. Got his draft picks, drafted his guys, fired his coach or let him walk. Quinn Snyder went away this year. He brought in a young coach, just like he did last time with Brad Stevens. So history repeats itself all the time. And Danny Ainge saw a winning formula. He's done this a couple times. So he's like, you know what? Do it again.
Let's do it again. Run it back.
Electric Boogaloo.
Yeah. Well,
Exactly.
That's the Jazz. That's what's left. I have nothing but the faith in them. I love Donovan Mitchell, and I like the Jazz franchise. Maybe not the Utah fans as much, but
yeah, they're owned by like a young dude who got his money from a startup company that he sold.
That's right.
And now he, is rich enough to own a sports team. Like he's living the dream. Like,
that is the dream.
I would love that.
Some men get it all, but what do you guys think of this team? Who do you think should get traded? Who should we ride out their contract? Comment below. Let us know. Subscribe if you haven't.
Hey, this is Strictly Ball Business, episode 50, boys. Or 51.
You want to talk about LeBron or
yeah, no, I was just saying, throwing a little plug.
Plugs. Always plugs. That's right. But as everyone knows, the Lakers, they were not able to get rid of Russell Westbrook. He's staying. But so is LeBron. LeBron, they signed him to a 1+1 year, and then another player. So he'll be there after this year, 2 more years if he accepts his player option, which he may not. I personally don't think he will. I think he can get the money, and I think he's going to go and play with his son. He was very adamant about that. I think this just adds the flexibility in case he's like, okay, maybe I'll wait till both my sons are in the league and I'll do it. I don't know how old Bryce is, but
I mean, I think the LeBron special right now is the 1+1 contract, and he'll probably just do that with whatever new team he signs with anyways.
Right.
And so most likely I think it's going to be Cleveland or whatever team drafts his son. Maybe it's both. Maybe Cleveland is smart enough to draft him. But I mean, I got a question for you. How high does Bronny go, knowing that you can get LeBron in the package? I mean, Bronny right now is considered like the 36th prospect in his class.
See, it's tough. Like, I'm not as familiar with the prospects yet, so I can't look at a guy and be like, is he worth it or is he worth? Because
think about like where he's at right now, 36th ranked prospect. He's averaged like 4 points a game in high school as a junior, and then but you know that you're gonna probably get LeBron with it if you draft him.
If I were a team and I had the cap room and I made the cap room ahead of time because I knew I'd be somewhere in the let's say 22. Say I'm 22, 22nd pick in the draft. I think that's the highest. No, 20. 20 is the highest because you're not just drafting him. Because you'd be like, tampering exists. It happens. It's just hard to prove. They're gonna be like, all right, if I draft your son, so it's for what's a mid-level team? The Bulls. Say the Bulls. We're looking at the Bulls. The 20th pick in the draft. They're like, hey, we have 20 million in cap space open right now. Vucevic is a free agent. You wanna, LeBron, if we sign your son, you wanna come play for us? Yeah? Oh, all right, yeah. Okay. 20? If I'm 20, I think that's the highest I'll do. If I don't think if I'm not confident in a prospect, I would just grab him. I know, I mean, that seems like such business, but fuck it.
I think he could go even higher than that for LeBron because I think the only thing that hinders you is if he's also demanding a max contract.
Yeah, that's true. Do you think he goes in the lottery?
Makes things harder. I think it's certainly possible. I can see him going like 12, 13, but like it's got to take a team who's there that, you know, if they add a LeBron James, they instantly are a finals contender.
Yeah, I mean, instantly, yeah. So,
like,
and I think
there might be a team like that there. I mean, the Warriors had the second overall pick a couple of years ago.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
What if the Warriors picked him up? I mean, he's talked about wanting to play with Curry too.
Oh, that'd be. I mean, I can see the Warriors doing that. They don't give a shit about their draft pick. They do, but like if they're deep, if they're in the 20s. They do that in a heartbeat. If they're like, hey, if they did it, I'm like, shit. Like before anything's announced, as soon as Golden State drafts Bronny Jr., I'd be like, shit, LeBron's. I'm like, shit, LeBron's going to San Francisco. Damn it. He's like, I'm gonna take my talents to San Francisco. I'm gonna go play with the guy he's like in love with, Steph Curry.
Yeah, I mean, he wouldn't even think twice about that.
No. He'd be like, thanks, Bronny. Thanks for being so mediocre. I needed this. He's like, my hairline was disappearing.
Yeah, I mean, his draft stock could still go up, too. I mean,
yeah,
he looked good in his first professional or semi-professional game the other day, like with his brother. So, I don't know. We'll see.
How sad do you think he has to be if he gets like becomes an actual second round pick and his dad's like, I don't want to fucking play with you. You suck.
He'll play with him no matter what.
Yeah, I mean, he's a good dad, but like imagine the disappointment just being a second round pick. Like, you're LeBron's son. Yeah, I'm LeBron's son.
Thing is, I think both his sons are getting better. I think by the time they get to the league, they'll be good players because like they practice with LeBron. They have LeBron as their mentor.
True.
And they definitely have more drive than Michael Jordan's kids had.
Derrick Rose practiced with LeBron for half a year and wanted to retire from basketball. I don't know.
That's fair.
But
he doesn't live with them. He doesn't have to live with him.
True. But what do you guys think? Where do you think he's going? Where do you think Bronny will go in the draft? Comment below. Let us know.
Yeah, and I think that's all we got, huh?
I think so.
Yeah, this was Strictly Ball Business, episode 51. Subscribe if you haven't already. I think we've maybe got some recurring listeners, but and
we appreciate all of you.
Yeah, anybody listening, thank you so much. We do this because we just love talking about the NBA, and luckily it's right around the corner. So gonna be a lot more to chat about soon.
Exactly. If you made it this far, comment lemons.
Yeah.
Down below, so we know.
Yeah.
Comment
who's
lemons.
excited for 2K too?
Yeah.
That's coming out in a week. You want to run us in threes? Hit us up. We'll be on PS5.
Yeah. Well, you'll see us. We'll be. We'll get to put some gameplay on here. You'll get to see us. It'll be great.
Yeah.
You'll see us suck. We just got to figure out all of our archetypes.
Our builds. Yeah. Yeah, you said you're going to go like Ja Morant, huh? You're going to put dreads on your white body is what you were thinking.
I was going to go the skill. I don't know about I was going to be like that guy, but thanks for listening, guys. Comment lemons, plural, just so we know you made it all the way. I can't even name drop anyone because I don't think anyone in my family watches this. But anyway.
There's like a clean music lover that comments on our stuff. Sometimes.
Oh, yeah. Clean music lover. We love that you love.
Strictly Ball Business, where we strictly talk basketball.
Tune in next time